Hello everybody, it's Chris the Spyder Minimalist, and I came across an idea or a concept on one of the Spyder forums over the past weekend that I just have to share. Now, I realize we've got a lot of folks who watch some of the videos who are experienced Spyder riders, and you folks, you might want to just click off because you're going to say that's not a novel concept. We all know that. That's what we were trained to do that. But for those of you that are either new to Spyders, or maybe you're like I was prior to a month ago, you want to be a Spyder owner, but you don't have one yet, this might be something you might want to stick around for, because the idea is so simple and beautiful and elegant, and yet it's almost intuitive. It's embarrassing that I hadn't thought about it. So what is this novel concept or idea? So those of you who drive cars, and that's probably 99% of you, just like I did until a couple of weeks ago when I sold my car, you know that if you want to avoid an obstacle in the road, let's say it's a pothole, maybe it's a sewer cap that's ajar, or maybe there's a glass bottle in the road, you know that if you want to avoid that with your car, you just drive directly over it, try to get the pothole almost in the center of the vehicle, the center of, let's say, the hood line, because you know you have two tracks, your left tires and your right tires, and those two wheel tracks will roll the vehicle right directly over the obstacle and you won't hit it. No duh, right? That's as simple as it gets. You also, those of you who ride two-wheel motorcycles, you know that if you want to avoid an obstacle like that, a pothole or a bottle in the road, it's very simple, because you've got two wheels, but you only have one wheel track, and you just swerve to the left or to the right and you swerve around it. No big deal. The problem with a trike, with a Spyder or any trike, is that you've now got three tracks to think about. And I've been like pondering and concerned about this even before I became a Spyder owner. I live in Niagara Falls, and while people who live in Niagara Falls think we are the only city in the northern part of the hemisphere that has potholes, we are not, right? Every city north of, I don't know, the Mason-Dixon line, whatever the line is, knows that we get potholes because we have seasonal changes that affect the pavement and the concrete and all the rest of it, and it affects the roads. So we get potholes, plus we have other things to think about, whether it's, in fact, here's a pothole right here. I'm going to do what I'm about to tell you about, but we have other things that happen. People throw bottles on the road, and there's other debris that we want to avoid. So this applies really no matter where you live, but when it comes to potholes to avoid, it probably doesn't apply to folks that live, it doesn't apply as much if you live in the south, where you don't have these wild changes in temperature like we have here. So what is this thing that I wanted to tell you about? So I was on one of the Spyder forums, and there's a couple that I look at, and I can't even tell you the names of these forums. I just go to them and I just scroll and look for interesting topics. But I was on one of these forums this past weekend, and I was not looking for the topic at hand. I was I forgot even what I was looking for. Maybe I was just scrolling randomly, but I came across a comment that I thought, wow, that's really interesting. In fact, I'm going to do what I'm about to tell you about right here as well. So here was the comment, and that was, in terms of avoiding a pothole, you just aim so that your feet are over the pothole. And I thought about that, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so simple and so intuitive. And again, those of you who are experienced Spyder riders are laughing, saying, dude, like, what planet have you been living on? That's common sense. But it wasn't common sense to this guy until I read that forum comment. So what does that mean? Well, for those of you who are new on the Spyder, so we have two front wheels, the left wheel and the right wheel, okay? Now, my feet are on the floorboards. Where else could they be, right? And you can see the way the floorboards are positioned. This floorboard is to the right of that left wheel, right? Very simple. This floorboard, I'm sorry, this wheel, this tire, someone's coming behind me, so I'm going to just get off the beaten path here. I want to go up the street here, because I really want to get this point across, because to me this is simple, but like it's amazingly important. So this right wheel that you see is obviously to the right of my right foot, of the right floorboard. So as long as my feet are on the floorboards, and where else would they be, I know they are inside of my wheels, right? Very simple. I also know, just because it's intuitive, even though I cannot see my rear wheel right now, obviously I can't see it. Quite frankly, it's hard to see even when you get off the bike, right? That's the issue we have with filling up a tire with that rear vehicle, with that rear wheel. But I know that it is in the center of the bike, so it's basically dead center behind me. I know that. And I know, because of the spacing of the floorboards and the size of the rear wheel, that there is space between my feet and the outside, I want to go in here, the outside dimensions of the rear wheel. So when it comes to a pothole or a glass bottle or something that I want to avoid in the road, I want to make sure I don't hit it with that wheel, obviously, and I want to make sure I don't hit it with that wheel. So anyway, back to my point. I know that if I'm on a major highway and there's plenty of lanes and I've got room, there's not a lot of traffic, I can just swerve to the left lane or to the right lane and avoid the obstacle. But if I'm on a road like this and there was a pothole dead center, and I can't, let's say there are cars coming that way, and let's say there are cars behind me, so I can't stop, and I wouldn't do that anyway, then as long as I make sure that my left wheel doesn't hit it and my right wheel doesn't hit it, and shoot to have it go underneath my feet, I know my rear wheel will miss it, unless it's so wide that, you know, it's beyond the point where even if I miss it with both front wheels, it's so wide, let's say it's 3 feet wide, then this concept isn't going to work. But as long as that pothole, or certainly a glass bottle, that's simple. If I aim for the feet, if I try to make sure my feet, my left foot or my right foot, go over the object, then I'm going to clear it. Now, if it's a glass bottle, you obviously have to worry about the wind from your vehicle moving over it, blowing it, and that would screw things up big time. But I think you get the point. There's a road up ahead, it's 1st Street in Niagara Falls, that has, I know because I've ridden over it the past couple of days riding a couple of times, where it's got kind of a series of small cracks in the pavement, potholes, that if you hit it with one of your tires, it wouldn't be fatal, but you wouldn't want to hit it. And that's where we're headed right now, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you, and you'll see up close and personal exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, there's the beautiful Canadian skyline. You've seen that before, right? We've seen it at night, and we'll see it up close when we go on our ride. Sometime we're going to go for a ride in the Clifton Hill, Niagara Falls, Ontario area. But I will tell you, I'm not going to do that until, well, I might do it at night before the spring flowers and the trees bloom, because Niagara Falls, Ontario really does a great job with decorating with flowers and foliage and all the rest of it in the spring. And so we're going to definitely go for a daytime ride and check out some awesome sights on the Spyder. But I might go there before the bloom happens in the evening, because when it's all lit, it's pretty cool. You know, the Niagara Falls, New York side is more sedate. It's more, I don't want to say tacky, but bright, flashing lights, that kind of stuff over on the Canadian side. We've got the parks and the hiking and whatnot, and they've got some beautiful, you know, flashy things to see. So we're about to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. So right on this road, right up ahead, right here, minor, but I won't want to hit them. And you can see I'm just kind of going right over them. There's a couple more up ahead. I'm going to stand up. So my left wheel is going to the left of them, and I know my center wheel is going to the right of them. So not terribly ingenious. It's probably not something that, you know, Albert Einstein would get an award for. But I'll tell you this, and I wish I remembered the forum that it was on, and I could remember the commenter's name. I just, like, I can't do it. You know, there's something about YouTube where it's much more personal. Well, it's kind of like Facebook, where you remember if someone makes a comment that you know or you know of, you could say, hey, it was, you know, this one or that one on YouTube who gave me this idea. But in the Spyder forums, there are two that I go to, and I'll be honest with you, one is kind of reddish in terms of its logo, and one is bluish, and that's as close as I can get to even giving you the name of the forums. Many of you probably know them better than I do, so you know what I'm talking about. But in terms of the specific commenter, not that this guy was the inventor of this, because I'm sure, again, I'm sure all of you, I'm avoiding a pothole right there, I'm sure all of you who have a Spyder and have some experience on the vehicle are thinking, boy, that's common sense, get over it, it's not a novel concept, maybe not even worth a video. But I'll tell you this, I know I've got people watching this channel who do not have a Spyder and who were really close to getting one, and I can't help but think that I am not the only person in the world who hadn't thought of that idea until this past weekend when I read that forum. So again, thank you so much for coming along. I do appreciate you when you join me on these rides. I've got a couple of trips planned. I'm definitely going to go to Ithaca at some point soon. I've got to plan it so that it follows some heavy rains, because Ithaca, after heavy rains in the spring, with the waterfalls and the parks that kind of walk along those waterfalls and those gorges, it's just awesome. And the other thing is I'm planning a day trip down to the Kinzua Bridge. Kinzua is K-I-N-Z-U-A. Kinzua Bridge State Park is in, I guess it's northwestern Pennsylvania, near the Bradford area. It is an awesome state park. It's an old railroad bridge that, believe it or not, when you think of tornadoes, you think of Oklahoma, you think of Texas, you think of Tornado Alley. But a tornado in the mid-2000s destroyed half of a railroad bridge that went over this giant gorge in Pennsylvania. And I believe I read somewhere that at one point it was the highest bridge or the longest span or something in the country or in the world or whatever. Tornado knocks it out of commission, destroys half of it's still remaining. The state of Pennsylvania buys the bridge from the railroad company. They couldn't use it anymore. They weren't going to fix it. So they buy the bridge. And what they did was they left the ruins where they are, where they fell from the tornado. I want to say this was 2005, so this is not like an ancient tornado. This is one that just happened 20 some odd years ago, just under 20 years ago. And they refurbished the remainder of the bridge and put one of those glass kind of walkways out at the end, so you can actually walk out to the end of it and check out what lies below. And of course you can hike down the gorge to where the wreckage is as well. It's a neat state park. It's about 115 miles from Niagara Falls, so it's a neat day trip. It'll take about 2.5 hours for us to get down there. I hope you join me, because that's coming up soon. Either that or the Ithaca trip is probably going to be my next excursion, and again, hope you join me. Thanks again for coming along for the ride. You have a great day. This is Chris, the Spyder Minimalist, signing off in beautiful, wonderful Niagara Falls, New York. Have a great day. Bye-bye.